Hello, I'm David Kerr, Professor of Cancer Medicine, University of Oxford. I'd like to pose a question to the wider Medscape community. Does medicine run in the family? Have a think about it. Think about your time spent at medical school. Think about your colleagues. How many of those do you think came from families in which physicians, surgeons were strongly represented? Well, we have the answer. God bless them, a group of Swedish investigators have looked at evidence gathered from 3 generations of physicians in Sweden, a retrospective observational study published last year in the Christmas edition of the British Medical Journal. If we look at the abstract, their objective was very clear. It was to examine the occupational heritability in medicine and changes in that heritability over time in the Swedish population. We know that particularly in the Scandinavian countries, that their population-based databases are extraordinarily useful. We've talked many times before about the benefits of their cancer registration and the linked-up data that we have. So what they did was they looked at the physicians born between 1950 and 1990 living in Sweden at some time between 2001 and 2016. Of that larger group, they found almost 28,000 physicians where the educational background for both parents was known. What they discovered was that across that wide cohort, that wide range, 14% had a parent who was also a physician, and 2% had 2 parents who were physicians. What was interesting though, most interesting, was that the proportion of physicians with at least one physician parent increased significantly over time, from 6% for physicians born between 1950 and 1959 to a startling 20% for physicians born between 1980 and 1990. P-value of 0.0001, so a very significant statistical correlation. Interestingly, as a quasi-control, they found that the same pattern of increasing occupation heritability across that same time period was not seen for individuals with law degrees. They conclude, I believe correctly, that more than triple the proportion of physicians over the time period that we discussed had at least one physician parent, fitting in very well indeed with their concept that yes, indeed, medicine does run in families, certainly within Sweden, but not the law. Now, I'd like to go figure that out for yourselves. And of course, I'd be really interested in your own stories. What was it like when you were at med school? Were many of your colleagues physician associated? Or were they first in their generation at university? Or how did it work? What we don't have is a correlation with wealth to put a child through a medical school in the United States. I guess costs multi-dollar dollars. In the sort of rather more socialized university systems that we have in Europe, there's not such a strong link, some link, but not such a strong link, perhaps between the not only the educational status, but the relative wealth of parents of those who train to become physicians. So there you are. It's true. Medicine runs in families. I sort of quite like that, I think. It's something that seems to be increasing. And I wonder if you have any reasons or any hypotheses as to why that might be. Really interested in your comments as always. But for the time being, thanks very much for listening. And please let me know what you think of all of this. For the time being, Medscapers, over and out. And let me wish you all a very happy holiday season. Thanks again.